Hello, my name is Nestor Alejandro Sanchez II, and in this day I want to present a video for a project in the subject Language as a System. The title of this project is called Using the Study Language. Let's do it. Well, in this video project I will give a very brief explanation of the 4 units that we saw in classes. For example, in unit number 1, that is language, here I will give the definition and some theories from different authors. In phonetics and phonology, that is unit number 2, I will say the difference between 2 types of sound. And in number 3, morphology, I will give the definition and how the words are formed. Finally, in syntax, that is number 4, I will finish my presentation with one syntax analysis of the sentence. Let's begin. What is language? Well, language is a rule-based system of signs. In other words, language is a system for communication through symbols or letters to build words. Let's talk about some theories. Well, in this slide I have 4 authors like Piaget, Chomsky, Descripción, and Vygotsky. Let's analyze one by one. Number 1, Piaget. Well, Piaget said that children have to adapt to the environment. Here I have 2 concepts. Number 1, assimilation, and number 2, accommodation. What is assimilation? Assimilation is a previous idea of the knowledge. Number 2, accommodation. Accommodation refers to an existing word that is related to what exactly is. This is Piaget. Number 2, Chomsky. Chomsky's theory said that children are exposed to a little form language. They acquire just grammar. Children are autonomous. They learn in minimal social and economic condition. And from 3 to 10 is the most likely to learn a language. Well, in my personal opinion, I can say that this theory is something irrelevant because, for example, the age is not necessary when we want to learn a foreign language. That's why I think that this theory is something irrelevant. Number 3, Croatians. This person said that learning is in two ways, like acquired and natural order. It's acquired for the natives and it's a natural order process for the non-native person. In this theory, the teacher gives information and several tools for learning a language. This is the input. And the students receive this information and we can call the output. Number 4 is Vygotsky. Well, Vygotsky says that students have an active role and teacher just transmit ideas, monitors, mediates the situation, and it's a guide. Vygotsky has an environment. This environment is called PDZ, that is Proximal Development Zone. And in this process, we have double feedback. Teachers receive feedback and also students do. Properties of the language. Well, properties are elements that just human language has and it makes different, for example, to the animals. Number 1, the displacement. Displacement is the ability to talk in past, present, or even in future. Arbitrariness is the non-natural connection. Productivity is the ability to create new words just by listening. Cultural transmission refers to, for example, a new baby that is going to born in, for example, in the United States. It's most probably that he or she is going to speak English in a correct way, even if his or her parents are Mexicans. Discreteness. Discreteness are sound from different that makes difference from the animals. And finally, duality. Duality refers to a language, can be spoken, written, or using symbols. Let's talk phonetics and phonology. What is phonetics? Phonetics is the studies of the physical sounds. On the other hand, phonology describes the organization of the sound in a system of language. Let's talk to sounds. Here in this slide I have two types of sounds. Number one is voice and number two is unvoiced. What are the voice sounds? Voice sounds are made for the obstruction of the air. They come from the throat. And it could be vowels and diphthongs. For example, v and th. And unvoiced. The unvoiced or voiceless are produced by no abstraction of the air. In other words, sounds are made by air coming just from the mouth. For example, p and b. In this presentation I have the vibration, the abstraction, and that is for voice, and the no abstraction. What are manners of articulation? Well, it's the way of how consonants are pronounced. We can have, for example, plosive or stop, fricatives, nasal. Examples: bed and ten for plosive, high and fish for fricatives, and morning for nasal, etc. The sounds are produced by using the tongue and other parts of the mouth, that is, place of articulation. For example, the bilabial, like pat or bat, labiodental, fat or foro, palantal, George or George, etc. Morphology. What is morphology? Well, morphology is used in three areas. Number one, in biology, that is the study of the structure of animals and plants. Geology. In geology, we use this term when we want to describe how is the land. But in this case, I will focus on just in linguistics. What is morphology in terms of linguistics? Well, morphology refers to the mental system involved in word formation, their internal structure, and how they are formed. Let's talk to a morpheme. Morpheme is a minimal unit of meaning for grammatical function. For example, in this picture I have two words. Number one is rerun. Rerun has two morphemes. Number one, re and run. Next one, overreact. Overreact has three morphemes: over, re, and act. Affixation is a process of adding a morpheme to a word to create a new one. For example, I have the word birth. If we add a letter, in this case an S at the end, we can have birds with the same meaning. Example number two, I have bird, but we add at the end two letters, ER, in order to create a new word like birthday with a different meaning. For affixation, we use prefixes and suffixes. For example, I have three examples of prefixes. Number one, re and discount. For example, reinvent, unpolite, or discount. For suffixes, I have full, like colorful, and less, for example, useless. But affixation is not the only one. We can have more processes in order to create new words. For example, derivation. Derivation is a new word by adding a morpheme like fix and able, like fixable. Compounding consists of two or more bases like toothbrush. Blending, two words are meshed into each other. For example, smog. Smog comes from smog and foam, fog. Clipping. Clipping is a word reduced to a shortened form. For example, dog, like doctor, math, like mathematics, or fun, like fanatic. Acronyms. Acronyms are initial letters of a set of words, for example, UNESCO, USA, cognate. Cognate are words from something were invented, like Kleenex, aspirin, zipper. And finally, we have borrowing. Borrowing are words adapted from another language, like pizza, chocolate, software, pasta, for example. Let's talk to syntax. Syntax is the part of linguistics that studies sentence structure. In other words, it is how authors put the words and phrases together. In syntax, we have three types of sentences. Number one, simple, with subject-verb complement. Number two, compound, that is subject-verb complement, but with a conjunction. And number three, complex. Complex is a sentence with two clauses, the dependent and the independent. How can we classify a sentences? Well, we have three. Four. Number one, declarative. For example, the king is sick. Number two, imperative. Bow to the king. Interrogative. What's the matter with the king? And number four, exclamatory. The king is dead. Well, syntax analysis. I have a sentence. The sentence is John found a ball in the grass. In this sentence, John is the subject, found is the verb, a the article, ball a noun, in preposition the article, and grass is the noun. If we mix this part of the speech, we can get a noun phrase, in this case, and also a predicative phrase. If we mix a noun phrase and predicative phrase, we can get a simple sentence. This analysis is called syntax analysis. Well, the conclusion. Now I can conclude that the study of the language is so important, even if we as a teacher don't teach this structure in a typical class. But with this we can improve our pronunciation, our knowledge in how words are formed, using, for example, the prefixes and suffixes. Well, that's all. Thank you for watching me, and I want to say you hello in previous days. Bye bye.